All right, puppers, and we're back talking about part 2 of Stranger Things 4. Oh, yeah. It was 2 episodes, but one was, I believe, an hour and a half, and the other one was closing on 3 hours.
Yeah, it was a little over 2.5 hours.
Oh, boy. Woo. There were moments where it went by quickly, and there were moments when it most certainly did not.
Yeah, I think that the first part killed it. This part, I was expecting a little more.
Yeah, I think our expectations were a little too high.
I mean, it had,
video.
like, really, really great scenes, like Eddie on the roof playing guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
It started strong.
Yeah.
Because, like, we start right where the last one left off, where, like, Nancy is stuck in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
Vecna's coming after her, and we have, like, the mother of all lines. We gotta save her. We need music. Well, what do you need? We need Bowie. We need Blondie. We need Beatles. We need music. And he just grabs it.
This is music!
This is music!
I love Eddie. I think that he's such a relatable character.
Definitely.
For any oddball, like, he's a very relatable character.
Mm-hmm. Especially for, at that time, like, D&D was very demonized.
Oh, yeah. It was a pandemic, wasn't it?
Almost.
Like, demonic. What? It had a title, like Manic Panic or something, like...
There was, like, a crusade against
Yeah.
them, let's say.
It was really weird.
To, like, weed them out and be like, hey, this isn't appropriate. And, like, there was actually in both the religious sense and now in, like, the ethical sense and stuff, like, Wizards of the Coast constantly cleans through D&D and be like, that's problematic, that gotta go, that's a little dark, so... And some people were just like, they're pushifying it, and others are just like, well, they're making it more inclusive and less problematic to where they have a big target at their head, because from their conception, they had a target on their head. So they're trying to make it more of like the, of course, media conglomerate, of just like more of an audience.
Which is interesting because since the conception of Stranger Things, I feel like D&D has really grown.
Yeah.
Like, more and more people that I knew growing up that, like, never would have played it, they're like, yeah, it's really cool. And I'm like, is it?
There's parts of it I like, and there's parts of it I'm not too fond of. But we're not here to talk about D&D. Yeah. We're here to talk about Stranger Things.
So we did binge watch it, and it was a little bit of time ago, so just kind of recapping.
Yeah, I can remember certain scenes that I resonated with, and certain, like, expectations I had that either were fulfilled or left me wanting.
Yes. So basically expect for this whole video to have spoilers. If you haven't seen season 4 part 2 yet, I would put this video in your to be watch list and come back to it later.
Agreed.
Because it's just really hard to kind of like jump around spoilers.
Well, the show jumps around a lot. Like, you're going through a lot of perspectives. And again, I'm sick of Russia.
Yes.
Like, every time it went back to Russia, I was just like,
ugh.
God in heaven. There goes the pacing.
I hope we're done with Russia because basically they've killed off everyone in Russia.
Yes.
Not like the entire
all
country
the
of Russia.
Russian characters.
But it's like everyone in the prison is dead. Like, they killed the Demogorgon in the prison. They like annihilated all of the clones, and they escaped, and they're back in the U.S. So hopefully we're done with Russia. Fingers crossed. But I think it's interesting because we have all now reconvened. Everyone is back together by the end of part 2.
Yes. So going forward, it should be less jumpy.
Yeah, less of like, oh, they're in California, they're in Russia, they're in, at home. Like, it was a little confusing to know where everyone is at.
It was a bit of a detriment because, like, Jonathan, I forgot his character because he's just been very much just a supporting character.
Which I think was the intention. So I think it was definitely the intention because even when he has like a heart-to-heart moment with Will, he's saying like, I know I've been weird this year, but I'm still here. And I feel like that's what all the viewers are saying, like, what the fuck is he doing? And I'm like, oh, he's still there. Okay, like he's still around. But I think...
Because, like, Mike points out as well, it's just like, I'm a very supportive character. And Will's like, yeah, you're this supportive character.
Yeah.
And shows him the D&D drawing. It's just like, you're the heart of Captain Planet.
Yeah.
Like, everyone else gets to be the cool elementals, and it's just like, I'm Heart. Who
Yeah.
gives a fuck about you, Mati?
Yeah.
That's Mike.
Mike, so, like, I have a theory, and it's probably not correct just because the nature of the show and how beloved it is, and I'm not sure. But my theory is in season 5, everyone is going to die except for Max. That is my theory.
All right.
Everyone's going to die except for Max. Because she's in a coma. So they're going to die trying to fight Vecna and the Mind Flayer.
Yeah.
She's not fighting because she's in a coma.
Right.
But whenever they defeat the enemy, her soul goes back and she wakes up.
Too dark. Not going to happen.
That's what I would want to happen. But I don't know if they would do it because everyone was like, strap on your bootstraps, get ready for lots of death and lots of sadness and everything.
If you didn't
and
tell
then
me
it was
about
like
that, I think I would have been more okay with
and
how
the
this
deaths
played
that
out.
did happen
Predictable?
weren't all that devastating. Like, I was really, really sad
They sucked.
when
but,
Eddie went, but like Papa already died. Like 2 or 3 times already. Like where
Papa had
he
the perfect
mysteriously
death
disappears.
and they ruined it.
Yeah.
Not from season 1 when like he was attacked by the Demogorgon, but in this season when like he gets shot and he frees 11.
Yeah.
And that's all you need.
Oh my. Okay, so we're watching and he put the anti-power collar on 11 to like
Because that was my
stunt her
first
powers.
complaint. It's just like,
And,
I thought shit was going, because the other doctor was just like, this is her choice, we're gonna pack
Yeah,
our shit and
and
go.
then that's,
I'm just
like, that's
cool, we only got a couple hours, let's roll with this
Yeah.
shit.
But basically Papa like puts the collar on her, and then whenever they exit the facility, he gets shot, and like his dying movement was he presses the release button on her collar.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, yes! Please don't have any cheesy dialogue. And then 11 walks over to him, and I'm like, fuck this.
And they have
like,
a cheesy,
the big,
dying
long
speech.
death speech. First of all, you were shot in your chest. You're not going to be able to talk. Granted, this isn't like the most realistic of shows here, but like there does have to be some semblance of realism in that moment, or else like, why would we be upset that he was shot? And I showed you the video clip of Constantine whenever the secondary character dies in Constantine, the movie with Keanu Reeves, played by Shia LaBeouf, and he like is uttering, like he can't fully speak because there's damage to his lungs.
Yes.
And it's like, that's how Papa would sound. There's no way he would be able to, say several sentences where it takes 5 minutes of time in the show to complete his dying thoughts. Like, that was a big buzzkill for me. Like, I feel like him releasing the collar said it all. Fireworks. That was the period to the end of my thought. But the Duffer Brothers have confirmed that Papa is dead.
Good.
Like, he's not coming back. And I'm like, thank God, because he already died. Like, he was already killed by the Demogorgon.
Killing off characters and bringing them back.
Yeah.
It's just like, do you kill them again? Do you leave them alone? What happens?
Yeah.
Because I emotionally am no longer invested in this character.
Because they already
That's
died.
where I'm at with Hopper. I'm just like,
Yeah.
are they going to kill him? Are
Because,
they not?
like,
I don't care.
we already
This
grieved
whole
his death.
Russian side plot is only relevant because you're still alive, Hopper.
Yeah.
Which is a real buzzkill.
Well, it's like the only reason I could see them going back to Russia is because there's a portal open in Russia. And that's the only reason I can see them ending up back in Russia. But I really, really hope, like, the whole, like, Russians have demigorgons and stuff. I hope that's over, because it was not interesting. I understand why they included Russia, simply because of the time frame that they're playing in. It was during the Cold
80s,
War
yeah.
and, like, all this jazz. But, like, that's something that's on the radio in the background. That's
I've
not...
seen Rocky 4. You can make Russia interesting.
Yeah.
Still that kind of, like, dark and, like, menacing place.
Right, without having to go there
This
and
one was
have
kind
a
of
whole...
boring.
Yeah, very much so.
I was so bored every
But-
time it switched, because, like, it's also because, like, all the other stories were just, like, too good.
Yeah.
Her in the past learning about the truth of like one and stuff
kind
like
of
that.
getting to
Getting her
see
powers.
how one became one, how he became Vecna.
And how
Elle getting her powers back was
banished
was cool.
into the Upside Down.
Yeah.
And people are still debating this. Did he find the Mind Flare and give it shape, or did he create the Mind Flare? I feel he found the Mind Flare and just gave it shape.
That's what I'm thinking.
The Mind Flare is very much its own thing.
Well, even because when he like stumbles upon it, he's walking and he sees like all this black mist,
Yes.
and then you see him with his hands, because he has power, shape it into a spider.
Even though he forgot like 3 legs.
Yeah, it only has like 4 legs. It's more like a spider dog.
Yeah.
But whatever. But you see him shaping it, and then he kind of looks at it like, you're gonna be my new pet.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's exactly what it is. It's a pet.
Okay.
So the Mind Flare, it has sentience. It has its own life.
Yeah.
But it is controlled and cared for by one.
Yeah. And that's where the divide is, because some people like the Mind Flare as kind of like Cthulhu, some kind of Lovecraftian thing that's beyond someone like Vecna.
And I think that's...
And then the other half finds it more interesting that like a person with actual like motives and a plot and like a backstory is the main evil that ties it all together.
I wouldn't necessarily put it past that the Mind Flare is its own like kind of Lovecraftian monster.
Mm-hmm.
And I wouldn't think it would be a bad idea even for the Mind Flare to be like to Vecna whenever it comes time for that.
It's possible.
So it'd be like, you thought that you were controlling me, but really you were doing what I wanted you to.
Mm-hmm.
Because keeping in mind, one isn't from the Upside Down.
Right.
He was sent there.
Yes.
Whereas the Mind Flare was from the Upside Down.
Yes.
So it's like you also have that probability that like it's probably going to be a little bit stronger than Vecna.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like Vecna might have power, but the Mind Flare is from this alternate world.
Yes.
So I think it could be a cool thing to make it like in the end we full circle come back like the Mind Flare was behind all of it the whole time.
Well, like another thing we need to keep in mind is like in terms of like the villains we've been shown, 11 is more than capable of beating Vecna at a one-on-one. She's done it twice now. Whereas she's never actually defeated the Mind Flare.
No.
She's just cut off and like sealed away the portal to keep it from being too powerful.
Well, because that's the thing. She's opening portals, and that's the only way that the Mind Flare is getting in.
Yes.
Is because these portals have been opened. So where they have set up for season 5 that the Mind Flare can escape.
Yes.
Into Hawkins.
Yep.
So which would mean she would actually be facing the real thing versus like the Mind Flare through Billy.
Yes.
The Mind Flare through this. Like it would be
or
one-on-one.
Giant pile
you and
of
me.
flesh.
Yeah. So I think that could be a really cool thing. 11 in the final like moments, I don't know how I feel about it.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think like, because she needed Mike to say like, I love you.
Yes.
And then that's when she like got her shit together. So, and it's just like, I don't know how I feel.
It is funny how this all boils down to Vecna is fueled by hatred and 11's fueled by love and friendship.
Yeah.
So it's like we're kind of like reverting back to that.
Yeah.
And they're clever in the way they implement it to where like it still works. But when you take a step back, I'm just like, oh my God, this is the Care Bears plot.
Yeah. I think what I don't necessarily like about it, and again, I won't know if I fully like it or if I don't like it until we see season 5 and how everything pans out. But whenever Max basically dies, and then Elle is like, not today, and like brings her back to life.
That's,
and I'm just like,
yeah. Or at least tries to, but she can't
but
find
there's
her.
no one in there.
So there's like,
but like
the
she
theory
brings
that
her
Vecna
body back
has
to
her
life.
soul.
Yeah.
Which, again, apparently there's a time skip for the next season.
Yeah, that's what they were saying.
I do not want Max to be alive and well and skipping along.
The only thing I would be okay with
hill.
For Max in season 5 is for like her limbs to have healed. Mainly because like years will have passed. Like if her body is still functioning, like her bones would heal.
Yeah.
But
her bones would heal, but she would still be in her coma.
In a coma.
Because they have to retrieve Max's soul from Davy Jones' locker. I said Johnny Depp's locker.
I thought you were going to say from Jebediah, and I was like,
Jebediah. Nope.
But I kind of love the idea, like, because I'm a twisted, morbid soul of just everyone dying and Max wakes up.
That's not happening.
but I want it to.
I'd like there to be
and
a
it's
body
like,
count.
I don't necessarily...
I don't think it's going to be that high.
I don't
but
believe
we
them.
need to attack the original cast.
Yeah,
we keep going after newer characters. I love Eddie, but he was introduced at the beginning of this season.
What
and he passed away.
What
so
I would have loved
like,
to see is for them to almost kill off, not almost, but for them to kill off one of the main cast and have Eddie step in.
I thought they were going for Steve. And
I thought they were going to go
for Steve.
Yeah, because he was like the father character.
Yes.
But I don't hate that they killed off Eddie. I think that puts a nice little bow on his arc.
It's nice, but it's also like so safe to where well, that character had nowhere to go but an exact circle. He viewed himself as a coward. He died a hero.
Right.
And there we go.
But
so it was a little disheartening.
I don't have faith that they're going to kill the people we want them to.
No.
In season 5, because like I said at the beginning of this video, they were prepping
I've
us
seen Game
for
of Thrones until the end. I have no faith.
They were prepping us like, oh, get ready to be really sad by all these crazy deaths that are gonna happen, and they killed Papa and they killed Eddie. Like, so I don't know, because they're like, oh, there's gonna be a lot of deaths in season 5, and I'm like, okay, so which side character that we get introduced to at the beginning of season 5, just expect them to die.
Exactly.
So it's like I'm losing faith that they are going to kill off the main cast.
Right.
And I think that would be, especially if they are dead set, they're confirmed season 5 is the end, which I really hope it is, because that's all that they had planned for. I don't want them to pull a Supernatural where it's like they have this whole storyline and then afterwards they're like, well, let's just keep going. And that's coming from like a huge Supernatural fan. Like I love that show.
I mean,
but they
money. It keeps going.
did go farther than what they should have. So I really hope that they do end Stranger Things, but I kind of also hope that the Duffer Brothers create something new and similar, because I have discovered
this wasn't new, but this is the template for Just Wrong Enough, which I actually want to do a video on Just Wrong Enough and like that philosophy. Because like when you think about it, this is pretty much Stephen King's entire goddamn career. Yeah. Mixed with D&D.
Yeah.
If I were to sum this up, Stranger Things is Stephen King's career with D&D.
But
that's it.
I love
it's
their
well written. It has great characters.
I love their
the characters have beautiful chemistry.
The characters are what made this for me. The writing, and again, the actors had a huge part in that, because a lot of the things that we really, really love tend to be improvised or something that the actor created on their own. But at the end of the day, like the way that they write characters and the way that they're writing twists and like creating environments, I love. Like they do so well at that. Especially season 1 when we were talking about like the creation from Henry to 1 to Vecna, and it's like kind of like going through all of the red string lines between all the pictures in my head of like, oh, wait, that guy and this guy, and it all lines up, and I'm like, that's such beautiful writing. And I almost wish they did more of that in part 2, where they had a little bit more twists, a little bit more
explaining
intricacies, rather than just like
I created
boom,
the mind
boom,
boom,
boom. Yeah. So just something a little bit more. And again, I don't know if that's the case until we see season 5, because they definitely could have dropped some things that
I
we
feel
just
like
don't pick
season
up on.
5 is going to be my Infinity War / Endgame, to where even if it's not the end, it's the end. Wait a minute, I'm the leader. I'll say when it's the end. It's the end. Points for that reference if you know that one.
I don't know that one, so. But I do like that they killed off the bully. I don't even remember his name.
Oh, I thought Angela? No, they did not.
The crazy blonde guy.
She still lives.
Yeah, she's somewhere out there. With her messed up face.
Yeah.
She got hit in the face with a roller skate.
The jock from
I want to call him Johnny just because he looks like a Johnny, but
Jerry. I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Jeremy.
That guy. I like that they killed him off and how quick it was.
Oh,
he just got knocked out and then ripped in half, and then that was it. Like no one was just like, "Oh my god!" They were like, "Meh." I really enjoyed that.
I did too. I enjoyed the acting from the guy who plays Lucas when Max is dying in his arms.
That was improvised.
That was improvised?
Yeah, that,
nice.
So I was just reading an article that a lot of that was not scripted. When he, like, is yelling at his sister, Erica, get help, like, that was not scripted.
Nice.
Those kids, ballers, like,
That is,
I
like,
know they're
the
teenagers
nicest
and young
thing
adults
that
now,
this show
but
in general has done. Like, before there's been this stigma. You can't direct children. They're hard to direct.
No.
Even with Harry Potter, it's just like they're a little wooden. And they eventually
Like,
grew into half-decent actors.
Yeah. I mean,
This
I think
kind of proved that's a load of shit.
Yeah.
'Cause,
I think
like-
it's just the talent of the child. Like, this whole cast, even from season 1, they were spectacular. Like, just very, very good actors and actresses. And I love the chemistry Lucas and Max have. Like, I'm so alive for their relationship. They're so awkward. And, like, that's coming from a person that doesn't really like romance.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, when they're writing to each other and she just writes hi.
Yep.
And I'm like, that is so cute. Like, that is something that kids that age would do. So I do love that they included, like, natural elements like that. That, like, hi, movie on Friday. And that's when I was like, oh, shit, one of them are going to die. They're not going to that movie on Friday. But I really like their chemistry together. For sure.
Definitely. We need more chemistry of Nancy and Jonathan now, because we've had so much chemistry with her and Steve that I forget what her chemistry with Jonathan was.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, why is she still with this guy? I remember liking Jonathan.
Yeah, I feel like in the show they're going to break up.
He just needs to step it up again.
Because they're lying to each other.
Yes.
They're keeping secrets from each other.
Yep.
Like, I don't think that they're going to stay together. I think...
And, like, Jonathan very much still doesn't like Steve, and Nancy's
I think Steve is going to swoop in and snatch her back up.
Oh,
for sure.
okay.
And I think Robin's going to get the girl.
Yep, Robin's going to get the girl.
Because they had the end of where, like,
my ship.
The girl is, like, babbling, and she's... kind of just going off the rails, and Robin's like, "Aw, she does the same thing I do." So I think
was
they're
cute, but what solidified it was Steve's reaction to the whole thing.
Yeah, where he's just
smirk.
like, grinning, and he's like, "I knew it." Like, their relationship is so good as well. Like, I love
friendship. Yeah.
Well, it's still a relationship. It's just not like a romantic one.
Gotcha.
But I love Robin and Steve together. I think that they're BFFs, and I love it. But I cried when Eddie died, for sure.
Eddie died?
Because it was just, it was sad.
Well, like, he got bit up by bats, so it wasn't like Papa to where I was just like, no, you can have a nice little heartfelt speech. And he's just like, it's my year, man. Take care of those little sheep.
Yeah.
But I didn't get emotional until Dustin, poor Dustin.
Uncle, talking to his aunt. Someone get that kid some crutches or take him to a doctor.
A hard limp.
That's a broken hip limp.
Was the trade-off. Sure, not that many characters died. They got fucked up.
Yeah.
And if they stay fucked up and scarred, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. But I, like, when Dustin was talking to Eddie's uncle. Oh, it was so sad.
Yeah.
Just because you see his uncle, like, changing the posters, and he's like, he was a good kid. Like, he knows that Eddie was a good kid.
Well, like, everyone still believes that he's the cause of all this.
Yeah. And Dustin was like, he
Dustin
died a hero.
Yep.
Like, and I was just like, my whole heart. I was like, this poor kid and this uncle who took this kid in because his parents messed up. And, like, I don't know. I think it was just kind of like, it was a very good bow at the end.
Yeah.
Like, wrapping up that arc.
I will say, this still qualifies as a part of the family. I just have more whereas...
It's a part of the family, and the way that part 2 of season 4 is like a cousin. Where, like, it's a part of the family, but it doesn't live with you.
Yeah.
Like...
You see them a couple times a year.
Yeah, and you're happy, and, like, you love them, and you want the best for them, but...
They also do some weird things where it's just like, boy, I hope that doesn't linger.
Is that genetics, or is that a choice? But yeah, I would agree. I think it's part of the family.
Yeah, we're still part of a family. So what did you guys think of Stranger Things Part 4, Season 4, Part 2, whatever you want to call it?
The new one.
The whole thing. Whether it's Part 1 and Part 2, or just, like, both together, if you binge them both at the same time, that's definitely possible, too.
That's easy to do.
Let us know, and we'll see you guys in future videos, and most likely, we'll see you guys when Season 5 comes around.
Absolutely. It's
going
to take 2 years.
It'll take a while. On average, this stuff takes 2 years, so
well,
I'd be surprised
they announced it for
less.
2024.
They did? Alrighty then. Alright, pups. See you next time.
Toodles.